Hello, Aquarius. How is everybody doing today? Thank you so much for being patient. It took me an extra minute to get everything set up here, but I had a lot of channeled messages that I needed to work through, so I know you understand that. Let me first of all introduce myself. My name is Nicholas. This lovely little guy here is Apollo. Today we'll be looking at all of the messages coming through for March. And at the beginning, I like to also include channeled messages. So let's talk about the format here. There's four major parts. At the beginning, it's basically what I do when I connect with my guides. I interpret dreams, I meditate, and I do automatic writing. So at the very beginning, we'll be incorporating all of those things into the sort of psychic download or channeled messages. And that's basically just raw intuition. The second portion is going to be cards. And I really allow that to take on whatever format it needs to, especially the beginning. So the Celtic Cross will come through, bringing through whatever you need to hear in whatever order you need to hear it. And then I will highlight certain areas, including health, wealth, love, and destiny after that to make sure that we're not missing anything. The third major part is when we go a little bit deeper into the soul, and we'll look at some of the tough questions, something that deserves a little bit more time than maybe the Celtic Cross allowed. And we can help set you in the right trajectory. And then the final part is a meditation, which will allow you to heal and integrate the messages. I usually throw in a bonus card at the very end to give you some advice for the week ahead, whenever you happen to be listening to this. So that's the main way that it's organized. Usually takes me a day, but I also put in chapters. So I know some people may resonate more with one of those. Maybe you enjoy the Celtic Cross more than the channel messages, or maybe you want to go back and revisit a part of that. I do put the chapters in. It takes me a little bit of time to get all of that coded in. So by the next day, usually you will see a recap in the comments area, not comments, but the description, and then you'll see chapters. So sometimes I see comments like, where are the time codes? Give me some time. I mean, I'm live and it's not going to be ready right after I go live. So that's basically what is in store for us today. And I just want to welcome all of you. We have a really exciting bit of energy and information that's coming through. I'm going to put Apollo down and get started. Again, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We'll be looking at Aquarius for the month of March. You can watch it for sun, rising, moon. You can also look on behalf of anyone in your life that you love or care about. And if you know other parts of your chart placements, basically, you can take a look at those. Thank you to my moderators who will help answer any questions, Maria and Dakota. One quick note before I get started here. If you would like to show support, there's a really cool way that you can do it when you're watching live, and it's through Super Chat. It's optional, but it's very helpful. Basically, what this does is, in addition to helping me keep up with like all the supplies, all the note cards and Sharpies that I have to go through, it also helps me continue to update my deck. And this is my job, basically. So if you like what you see, it's another way to show support and allow me to do more of this. So that's how that works. I don't answer questions while I do the reading, but that is a great way to sort of say thank you. It's like a live tip. So if you want to do it, I appreciate it. There's another button when you're watching it on replay called applause, and you can also use that. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. But let's get into the fun stuff. We're going to start with the channeled messages. And last night I had so many dreams for your sign. I was kind of like doing virtual work all night long for you, but that's part of the fun part of what I do. I enjoy sort of decoding messages. So the first thing that I got in this morning as I was starting to meditate was the image of a whale. And that isn't something that has come through quite a bit in my animal totems or nature totems just yet. And there's so much variety in this sort of kingdom of animals because, you know, you have everything from like carnivorous whales to vegetarian whales. And when I did a little research, I was surprised. I guess I understood they came up for air, but they have to. I guess it's because they've evolved from creatures that are on the land. And so this isn't something that's just like a choice. They're in the same sort of kingdom here that you would see with like giraffes and everything else that you see in this picture, buffalo, etc. I was kind of surprised to see that. And so I thought, interesting. So there's an adaptability, there's this sort of imposing size and energy, and there's this gentleness that kind of goes along with this power that they have too. So we're going to look at that and basically apply it to you this month. So here we go. As I said, the whale is your spirit totem. And for those of you that might be watching the first time, I always tune into nature first, or I've started doing that over the past 3 months, just to kind of get a larger message from the planet that will help you. And so I usually get some sort of a totem or animal or spiritual sort of reference that will help set the tone for the beginning of the reading. So when I think of a whale, I think of something that commands attention. Use your charisma, your voice, and your presence, or the stage that you have, to your advantage. One thing that I also see with this, I'm going to skip ahead, is that you might be more sought after than usual because, as many of you know, whales are endangered. But it's because people want to see them, and also people are using the different parts of the whale for food, for industry, for different things. But so for you, you have a lot of utility, you have a lot of visibility, you have a lot of, maybe you're in more demand than you were before. So this is a time where you have to think, all right, what am I going to do with this increased visibility? And if you're not feeling it, you could own it. It could be there because it's in the potential. The whale wouldn't have come through if you didn't have the potential to make a splash. I kind of missed that. It's a little bit over the top anyway. I'll probably put it in the title, but that's kind of what the big opportunity is to make a splash this month. One of the things that's going to help you as you pace yourself through this month is to breathe. As I was reading up on that on the whale, it's essential. It can hold its breath for like 90 minutes or something, but it has to keep coming up for air. It's surprising, such a big animal and something that's living in the ocean doesn't have more capacity to just like have gills or breathe in the water, but it's both water and still has that little bit of the land. It has to pop up and breathe. So for you, the breathing is more of a metaphor for coming up for air and getting perspective on where are you at, what's going on, literally getting sort of a feel for the environment around you, reading the room. As I say, sometimes it's not just about reading cards, it's looking at people around you and feeling if they're kind of vibing off of what you're saying. And that's going to be important. And also taking a break from time to time. We are not machines, as I said earlier this month, and even machines need a break. So because this is an animal that started on the land and evolved into a highly competent, if not like one of the rulers of the sea, it's somewhere between whales and sharks, right? Those are the big animals in the sea. You have an adaptable sort of nature that you can depend on. So use your skills to adapt and ease into new challenges. It's not always going to be easy, but you can definitely find ways that you can blend in or that you can adapt or evolve. And there still may be something where it's kind of a compromise, like the whale, where it's mostly in water, but it comes up a little bit for oxygen. So, you don't have to give up everything that you are, but there might be a way to adapt. And you might find that you thrive in this new environment, just like the whale has, probably thriving more than it would if it had stayed on the land, right? So I was also thinking more of the sort of herbivore versions of them, because there are like a couple different types of whales. Some of them have teeth, some of them eat squid and other things. Many of them just consume plankton and, small single-celled organisms. So to me, those are the gentle giants. You can lead with strength and empathy. It's not something to be feared. And I think that's the best type of a leader, is someone who has power and strength, and they use it when they need to. But more often than not, they're going to assume the best, encourage the best from others, rather than having to have like this iron fist, right? And it's really a choice here, but I feel like what I'm seeing here with this is commanding attention, the ability to move between two different worlds, and this chance to also step into a leadership position or to lead by example. Loving all of that. As I said earlier, you might be more sought after, which may require you to have better boundaries than you have before, saying no, making sure that, after a certain point of time, you're not going to get distracted with something. So work-life balance is what I'm talking about here. If you're working really hard, your relationship might be suffering, or your family ties might be pulling at you a little bit, figuring out when you can give to one or give to another, and also what you're going to give to yourself. So saying no, saying when, and staying true to those boundaries, because if you don't believe them and if you don't observe them, it's really hard for other people to take them seriously, right? Okay. As I was saying, there's kind of like this very clear line on the whales between like carnivorous and herbivore. So, but I think of a whale usually as the ones that are eating all of the plankton and the algae and the single-celled organisms. And for anybody out there that is a marine biologist, apologies if I got anything wrong, but look at your diet and make sure if it's including enough balance, but particularly the vegetables is what I was focusing on. So green, having more green and working with your doctor to figure that out. I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, but I was just seeing a lot of like plant energy. There might be a way to really, especially if it's organic plant energy, to do something good with that. Speaking of like certain types of sea plants, I think they're high in iodine, if I'm not incorrect. So that might be something to look at also in your diet, is where your iodine is at. So talk to a doctor, talk to a nutritionist, just make sure everything's balanced, make sure you're getting enough green vegetables. Okay, so let's move on past the whale, which is a lovely metaphor, and it still is going to touch a lot of the other messages that came through when I was meditating. But I like the idea that you have a chance to make a splash. It's going to come in handy with the next piece here. So I saw myself in some sort of office, it felt like, and it was with like someone that felt like they were the president or the leader or the go-to person. So some of you might be going for an interview. Some of you might have to talk to an elder in your family, or you might have to deal with something like the government, something that has a higher energy than you do, not necessarily energy, but has more power, and you're going to have to make a splash with that. So if you're put on the spot, guess what? You can do this. Smile, knock their socks off, and don't be intimidated. So I think it's important to remember your power. That's why the whale came through. One of the biggest sort of metaphors and things that I could think of on this planet. It's hard to think of many things that are bigger that are living right now. So you can do this. But I also felt that sense of intimidation. And one thing that I will say is that when I was going into the meeting in the dream, it felt like there was a lack of preparedness. Like I kind of didn't know that it was going to happen so soon. So I would say if there's something you're trying to create, expect that a window or a door may be opened a little sooner than expected. And for instance, if you are a designer, have that portfolio ready. If you are going for another job where you need references, get those references written and have them ready so that you can get them to that person in time. Just basically, it felt like I needed to have something on my iPad or in my briefcase or right there to show the person. I just talked from the top of my head and it seemed to work. But the other thing that I got, and it was literally, I'm not usually given specific times or timings, but I was in this one for you. So there was the sort of gatekeeper, the administrative assistant, secretary, whoever they were. And they said, this person's time is valuable. I said, it's okay. I can do this in like 10 or 15 minutes. She said, make it shorter, like 5 minutes. I said, okay. So what I got with this is it may not literally be 5 minutes, but what I'm getting is a short attention span from the person that is going to make a decision. Within the first couple of minutes, they will read your energy, they will scan your preparedness, and they will make the decision. The extra 10, 15, 30 minutes, whatever, the first few minutes is what matters. So state your case, be succinct, be prepared, be charismatic too. So I think you really want to have eye contact with this person, a smile, and believe what you're saying. Remember, this is so true, whether it's an interview or a date. They're just as lucky to have you as you are to have them. If we put someone on a pedestal, then we are beholden to or controlled by them. When we put someone on an even plateau with us, then we both bring something to the equation. If this person can't see your potential now, they may never. They may, though, in the future, and what I like to think of is to use it as a chance to be successful. Prove them wrong, prove yourself right, have fun in that sort of proving, if you will, and then later they will look back and realize that that was a missed opportunity. You don't have to blow up in the moment. You don't have to say, I told you so. Just have a wonderful life and know that on some level that they will look back and understand the loss there. That's kind of how I use missed opportunities or blocks, or if people aren't ready. I was thinking about an example for you guys. When I was really, really young, I think I was maybe 10 or something, I just moved across country to a new home on the East Coast. And I was in a new school system and they were testing for levels. So I got into good levels for all the classes and everything. And there was a special program for gifted and talented. But at the time I was new, I was nervous, I felt a lot of pressure, and I didn't perform well at that test. And I forgot something. And because of that, I forgot like one answer and they just discounted me. So I didn't test well as a young kid. But what was nice and what I understand in retrospect is, just as I've been talking about to many signs this month, when you reach a block or you get a no, sometimes it's so that you can experience something else. And I had one of the best English teachers of my life that taught me how to communicate, took us to plays in the local plays and productions in the area, showed us all these movies, and like kind of lit a passion for communication, which serves me well today. So I'm so happy. I think it was like, I couldn't remember Thomas Edison's name or something like that. It was something really simple and it just flew out of my head. So whatever happened at that point, I'm so happy that I flaked in that moment and I was able to experience something richer. And you just look back and you laugh at that moment that it mattered a lot, because I felt really bad, but I don't feel bad anymore. I'm so happy that I got to be with that teacher. So you never know. If someone dumps you, if you don't get the job that you want, if you're denied from an apartment, if don't qualify for a mortgage, it might be because something better is waiting for you, something that's going to change your life. So always assume that the universe has your back, not that you're getting bad luck. I've seen time and again that rejections, setbacks, failures are actually on the path to success. Okay? I hope that helps you. The other piece of this was I felt like I was going back and repeating things. So the school metaphor also came through in Dreams and Meditations early this morning. And nostalgia is really cool, but there's no need to go back and take classes. I have no desire to do that. And so when I was looking at going back and taking classes, I realized that it was really a metaphor for lessons and karma. So for some of us, especially now because of the pandemic, maybe you have been furloughed or laid off, and then you get a call back from the old boss or employee or company. And you're thinking, do I want to go back? Or is this really even, or maybe it's an ex, right? So maybe you've found that you're stronger, more independent than you thought, and then someone from the past is coming through as the universe kind of working through them and testing you to say, are you sure you're past this person, past this cycle? Because all of a sudden they're slipping into DMs or they're texting you or they're showing up in places that you go, and it's sort of like, why now? Like, I'm literally over you now. Why is this coming up? So you just have to think, I've graduated from that. A couple years after I had quit, I was getting reached out to by some people that I used to work with, and it was the same sort of thing. I thought, I'm out of that energy. It's great to be asked, but I'm out of that energy. So it's a test. It's a test for you, and you get to choose. If you choose to go back, then you had something more to learn, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or maybe you feel like you need to resolve something. So if it feels good, then do it. If it doesn't, don't. That's what I saw. Because I always think it's better to move forwards, not backwards. And the most important thing, the litmus test to help you decide, do I need to go back and do it again, is it inspiring, challenging, or fulfilling? I really think it needs to kind of fill all of those categories. If it's not, if it's just money, or if it's just to prove something to somebody, and it's not to prove it to yourself, then I don't know if it's the right reason. But you'll decide, and as we look at the cards today, I think that it'll become a lot clearer for you, okay? This is something you have no problem with, Aquarius. So we have independence here. Forget the old system and create something new. If you have an entrepreneurial sort of energy or this inventive bone in your DNA, this is the time to lean into that and have fun with it. And you are kind of by nature very independent. And that's what I was picking up today anyway. So I feel like it's really about creating newer, better, more supportive systems than reliving those old systems that I think it's time for a lot of them to kind of just, kind of like the tower, crash and burn, and we have to rebuild. So this is more of a phoenix rising from the ashes time than trying to go back and cobble together all the pieces of the tower that have fallen apart, right? So that's my encouragement based on what I was picking up on, okay? The next thing was really interesting. I saw you looking for an identification card. So whether it was state ID, passport, a corporate ID, it was interesting because then once you found it, it was sort of like it didn't feel like you. So what my guides were telling me is like, don't look for an identity, create an identity. Be the identity that you are. It's not what's written on your driver license or your passport or any of those sort of things. That's just showing an association with something. But is it your true soul identity? Is it your thumbprint for your soul? Not so much. It's really just a place that you're at, a thing that you're doing. And I guess I'm encouraging you to look past that, especially if you're feeling like that's all that you can do. It's never done. Until you have your last breath, which we'll talk about in a second, you still have a chance to create. In the here and the now, decide who you are and what you stand for, because other people are wondering. And in that 5 minutes that you have, symbolically speaking, you better know. Because if you don't know in that moment, that person is going to read the lack of confidence, faith, clarity. And so those are the things that you kind of want to work on. And I was talking a little bit to the last sign, to Capricorn, about that, being confident and whatnot. And I think it's important for you as well. Knowing yourself is empowering yourself, is loving yourself, and it will open up those windows and those doors of opportunities. Because when you know who you are and know what you want, then you know exactly how to bring everything together. And other people also just feel it on a sort of energy level, like, yes, this is the one. And I had an opportunity at one point in my career to hire. And when you were interviewing, I had to do it for a while, like 6 or 7 years. I had to go through a lot of resumes and meet with a lot of people. And when you're in that hiring chair, you learn to intuitively read too. So I could tell if someone had an authentic, good heart and they were really interested in it. And a lot of times that extra edge would be enough to make them sit over someone who may have more experience but lacked the focus or didn't have the desire to be there. It was just a paycheck, and you could tell. So when you know what you want, when you feel it, when you believe it, it really just makes you more approachable, lovable, hireable, etc., more magnetic, right? This is what I was hinting at just a moment ago. Every moment, every breath is a chance for creation and movement. Right here, right now, that was a moment. Right here, right now, that's another one. So every thought you have can either create or destroy something. So let's go into the creative state. I was calling out someone yesterday in chat that said, oh, this is going to be a bad month. I said, if that's what you want it to be, it doesn't have to be. I think it's going to be a great month. So I really think that we have to be careful about what we think about at the beginning of the day, or at the beginning of a reading, or at the beginning of a month, because I go into it with the idea of how can I make this even better than the last one? What can I do to improve? That's a good approach. It's not even Pollyanna sort of energy. It's just like, well, let's make the most of this. Let's see what we can do with it, right? With the materials given. Lastly, I think it's about revelation, revealing your true colors, removing the mask, removing the facade. A lot of times my guides will show the mask coming off, and that's what I was seeing with this as well. Okay. So I think you had some really beautiful messages. I was so happy to see the big whale coming through. I get a very loving, gentle, playful energy with that sea animal. So hopefully you feel it as well. Okay, I'm going to stack up all of these cards. Don't worry if you didn't see something or hear something. I do a mini review at the center point. So we'll go through all the index cards and also the tarot cards. And I usually do it within like 5 to 7 minutes. So for those of you that don't have a lot of patience, stick around. And also you can always rewatch the review at the center. Like I said, take a look at the chapters that I put in, usually 24 hours after they're there, and you can use that to your advantage. All right, I'm going to remain quiet at this point and just allow the cards to reveal what we need to see, and I'll be right back afterwards. So thank you so much. And again, you can use this for sun, rising, and moon. Somebody was asking when the replay is available. Immediately when this is done. I also get questions about captions. The captions are automatically put into the video and it takes up to 24 hours. So just be patient with those as well. All right, everyone, thanks for giving me a minute to get everything organized. Let me just take a quick drink here, and then let's talk about what's coming through for this month. Okay, so this is a beautiful card here. We have the thread, and we have this rainbow, and the card was kind of on its side. So for some of you, it's almost as if you're trying to move through a kind of nebulous energy here that we see. It's sort of like the darkness of creation, or yesterday there was like this eye in the fog. So what I'm seeing as a theme for March is coming through a period of like a lack of clarity or a little bit of mental fog. And with the thread here, it's almost like you're pulling at that rainbow, at that really nice sort of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? So I feel like that's what you're kind of looking for. Doesn't matter how I hold this. It's kind of always weird, the imagery on this. So I would say, don't be afraid to go into a direction that is uncertain or unknown, because sometimes we have to go into something that is out of our comfort zone, where there's not a guarantee, in order to, as I said earlier, allow for continued growth, fulfillment, creativity, excitement, passion. And you have to push through that feeling of what's out there, what's going to happen. Looks like something good is on the other side. So a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of discomfort at the beginning, but ultimately worth the battle. And you have to kind of pull at the thread of hope, pull at the thread of inspiration, pull at the thread of passion until maybe you pull the rainbow through this energy and you can live in that energy as well. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing with this, is find something that you can focus on that's on the horizon, and don't let this stuff, the gloom and doom, kind of get into your way of finding your way to the rainbow. Okay. And I kind of get a Wizard of Oz energy with that too, because it was the dream versus the waking state, right? So the waking state was kind of boring at the beginning. If I remember, it was black and white. And then when she went into the dream, it was vivid. And then at the very end, it all kind of came together. But so for you, are you living your dream, right? If you're not, why aren't you living your dream? If this is what you've created, you still have the dream here. And this is kind of your chance to pull the dream into the reality. So the Wizard of Oz popped into my head as I was looking at this. The traditional one, the one with Judy Garland, black and white in color. Okay, let's look at the center here. And this is really indicative, I think, of where you're at right now. We have a Chariot card, but there's a question. What do I do? Where do I go? Is it right? And it's so appropriate, I guess, that in the past we have the Two of Swords, and the Two of Swords is a directional card too. A lot of times with the Two of Swords, there is not a good or bad direction. There are choices. The choices can often be shades of gray. And with the Chariot here, there's a little bit of that. So the this way, that way sort of energy here is, again, how can I get closer to that dream, to that rainbow? Am I living what I want to do? How can I pull more of that into my life? People might be coming to you for an answer, and it's not always easy. To lead is not always easy. And all you can do is do the homework, and in that moment, make the best decision that you can, and that's going to be the best decision. So understand that. You can sometimes find yourself stagnating in fear, doubt, uncertainty, or overthinking. So my encouragement here is not to do that, okay? Chariot is also saying that you have what it takes to move forward. You should be moving forward. There's movement as a part of this, like with any sort of knight card in any of the sort of, whenever we're seeing any of the people in tarot, you basically want to be focusing on that, any of the court cards. So the same sort of energy holds true for this. You should be moving forward, not backward, right? Okay. We have the 10 of Pentacles right on top of it. And this could either be helping or pressuring or weighing down things. With the 10 of Pentacles, it represents friends, family, community, work, coworkers, all of that stuff. And I'm laughing at the little kid here because it looks like he's a little gnome. Anyway, when I'm looking at all of this, this basically is pressure, right? And expectations. So this is your chance to perhaps step away from these expectations and be your own person, since this card was pressuring the decision. And understand that the ultimate energy is 10 of Pentacles, which is success. So if I would have had the very similar read if I had the 6 of Wands on that, because that's actually worrying about being successful. This is about maybe making money, being accepted, fitting in a little bit, more than like the 6 of Wands would be. So I would say with this, just realize that success, and I would even say material success, is on the horizon. But it's all about you doing what's right for you, what's true to you, what your voice is. Remember, your license plate, your driver's license doesn't show your identity. This shows your identity. Your passport doesn't show who you are. Your soul shows who you are. All that shows is where you live and what your name is and what country you were born into. I wish we could get past that on this planet, so that it's not like one country's better than another, one language is better than another, or one religion is better than another. They are just windows into the same sort of end, right? So know who you are and trust that people will sort of be magnetically drawn toward that energy when the time is right, and they will. 2 of Swords in the deep past. This is what I feel like some of you might be dealing with at this moment. So we see her kind of playing darts here, but she's blindfolded. And much like the Chariot card there in the center, there's this sort of understanding that you just sometimes have to pick a direction. Keep your eyes open though. And with any of the Swords cards, particularly like 8 of Swords or the 2 of Swords, where they're afraid to see things, visibility, asking questions, transparency, just being real, being honest, being direct, all of these things will help take the mask off or the blindfolds off, right? We have the Emperor card here, and the Emperor card, is not wanting to stand up. The Emperor card here is really encouraging you to be that individual or that entrepreneur that I was talking about. I also see loyalty being super important to this piece of the puzzle here, because I'm looking at the dog here. And remember how I said you need to kind of have your portfolio, your plan, your ideas sort of laid out. This is as much, I want you to be the same energy as the person that you're going to meet, because this represents who you might be having to have an appointment with, but it's kind of in your recent past, which is showing me it's in your energy. So we want to have a meeting of 2 kings or 2 queens, right? Not a queen and a page or something like that, or a king and a page. So I want you to be on the even footing as the person that you might have to have the conversation with. They're going to quickly read that they're speaking to an equal, and it's going to be a better communication, whatever it is. Even if it's a mating sort of thing where you're deciding, should we date? You're going to look at each other and say, yes, we're compatible. Yes, this is the right person. So dating or work or any sort of situation where there's a negotiation, all showing that you should trust who you are. Okay, cool. Next piece, we have the 8 of Pentacles. The 8 of Pentacles is encouraging you to finish what you started, keep working on things. It's a really great card for personal development. This is oftentimes an apprenticeship card or going back to school for training. It can also just be a self-betterment thing. So if there's something that you've been learning and you've been practicing a craft or a trade on your own, keep doing it. It's a money card too. So 8 of Pentacles is abundance, but it's often abundance through the hard work that you're doing. So I like it. We had the 10 of Pentacles and the 8 of Pentacles. So hard work realized, right? And also a reminder that this was at the center. So you don't have to go back and relearn something, just like that message I said at the beginning. Sometimes a degree is just that. If you've already got one college degree or whatever, and you don't really need or want to go back, but you're feeling pressure or something, just look at the cost analysis and the time analysis and figure out if it makes sense. I'm a proponent for school. I got 2 degrees and it was worth it, but also I can see how it isn't always necessary for every path, and school's getting really expensive. I couldn't afford to do the same path now because it's doubled, tripled, quadrupled. So you have to look at all of the opportunities out there and figure out, or maybe there's like a different type of school that you can go to. There's lots of choices. But I actually got that for some of you, you already have the core sort of piece together here. So you can decide maybe not doing it all at once too. maybe going to school over time. And anyway, there's some choices here. And what I'm seeing is that there's more value than you're maybe seeing in yourself. So look at why you're doing what you're doing. But if you decide to do something, I see success in it. So the choice there, that's really kind of what that center card was about. It may not be necessary, but the paths will be different. So sometimes if you get that extra degree, that extra training, then you can jump a little bit faster into the next level, but you're also going to lose 4 years, right? Or 2 years, depending on if it's an advanced degree or an associate degree or what's going on. So there's a time and money exchange for that opportunity. And so in certain things like acting, music, even social media to some degree, the timing is really important. And if you hit too late, then you've missed the window. So it's really about what you're trying to do and what's authentic to you. There's no reason that we all have to go on the same path. It would be boring if that was the case and not authentic. The good news for you, Aquarius, is I feel like you're going to get there. By the middle of the month, we've gone from indecision to decision. This is, I don't know where to, I know exactly what I want. Two of Wands is more powerful than people give it credit for. This is the gateway to the High Priestess. If you don't have this and then you have the High Priestess, you're not as powerful because you need to know what you're doing. So this particular wizard, if you will, because this is a witch and wizard deck here. So this particular wizard is knowing exactly what he wants to create and is thinking, all right, I'm ready. We see the power here too of creation. So know thyself, as I was kind of talking about here, knowing who you are, if I can get it. Knowing yourself is empowering yourself and it opens up those opportunities. It's the Two of Wands. So I think if you do anything this month, meditate on what do I like? What do I want? What don't I like? That's a good way to arrive at what you like. You could start 2 lists. What is it that doesn't make you happy? And then eventually you're going to have some things that make you happy because through elimination, you'll be able to figure that out, right? Okay. The next card here is about being direct. We have the Queen of Swords reversed. Love this card. Even in its reverse state, it's very powerful. It's actually more powerful on some levels. This was about getting to the point. This is what I was talking about at the interview or the confrontation or the face-to-face or the first date, whatever it is. This is basically sort of just putting it out there quickly so that the person knows who they're dealing with, okay? And it doesn't have to be cruel. It can just be to the point. Queen of Swords reverse gets a bad rap sometimes. She's strong, she's powerful, she's to the point, and she wants to know if you're on the same mental page as she is, right? Generally speaking, because this can also represent you, Aquarius, in other parts of your life, you want to not be too critical of maybe yourself. This is showing up where I would see self, ego, or feelings about oneself. So there could be something going on where it could be an aggregate from experiences from the past. We have a very maternal paternal card here. So mom or dad or both could have been putting on that pressure on you to be better or make you feel like you weren't matching up to family or community or societal norms. And so therefore there's a little bit of, it's kind of like barnacles on the soul that you need to shake off and say, that was just mom and dad. That was just their experience, or that was just sister and brother or teacher or friend. That's not me. It's still stung. It's still stuck to me a little bit, but I'm going to let it go now. And I'm just going to be myself and then get into the upright Queen of Swords, which is powerful, strong, communicative, fair, just. It's like justice. So you've got all of that, but there's a little bit of a block here because maybe you don't see all of the potential in yourself, or maybe because of the criticism that others have put on you, you can sometimes be overly critical of others. So look at criticism and make sure that I talked yesterday about kindness has to be a part of this. Constructive energy needs to be a part of it. It's coming through for you too, okay? Hidden opportunity. We're looking at the environment here. So the Four of Cups is sometimes missing something. Missing love, service, affection, opportunity, a new path, something. Because all you can see is this. All you can see is what's in front of you. It can also be about hope, faith, belief, because you can't see it. You have to feel it. I didn't really understand that. When I was a kid, I didn't really sort of connect with the religion that I was brought up in, and we're not going to go into religions here, but I would just say like it felt very rote, and I would go to church and practice, and I was like, there's nothing, I'm not feeling anything. They're not talking about anything. It wasn't later until I learned to be a yoga teacher that, oh my goodness, I felt the connection between mind, body, and spirit. I felt more spirituality on a yoga mat with a guru talking than I did when I was reading from a text and listening to someone just talk. And I could tell the reason it wasn't working is a lot of the people that were sitting up there they weren't believing it, or they weren't listening, they weren't feeling us. So in yoga, there was this sort of connection, and they could tell, they could see auras, some of the teachers too, like, what's going on here? So all of a sudden I started to open up, and I started going to yoga when I was awakening spiritually, which was weird because I never felt anything when I was kind of brought up in the religion that I was brought up in. And then all of a sudden I felt everything later in life, and I had to figure out, well, I guess there is a bigger thing out there. So always keep an open mind. We're always learning. We're always experiencing new things. And had I not kept an open mind, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I could have just discounted it and said, well, I didn't feel it then, I won't feel it now. Yeah, I do feel it now. I'm more spiritual now when I'm reading cards and doing yoga and kind of like talking to the trees or whatever than I was when I was in a traditional sort of organized religion. Some people can get a connection there, some people can't. So just be open. When we're looking at everyday life, you may not be made to be in an office. You may be trying to be an artist, and that's not you. Maybe you are supposed to be in an office. Whatever you're at, if it doesn't gel, try something else. If you don't like vanilla, try chocolate. If you don't like this, try that. You basically have to keep trying on different things until you find your fit. Something's going to fit as good as a glove eventually for you. So be open to new perspectives. You might be missing someone that cares or loves about you, and that's what I'm seeing in this card too. So there could be unrequited love in the environment. It could be you, it could be someone else, but pay attention. It could be as profound as spiritual awakening. It could be as subtle as a crush that someone has on you and you're not picking up on that. Somewhere there's an opportunity, somewhere there's a door, you might want to open it. All right. We have 10 of Cups and an opportunity space, but it's reversed. We have both the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles. These are really powerful cards because, like I said, it's community and success, it's love, and it's family. And it's a lot of the same sort of energy because it can be peer pressure with both of these. With this card reversed, there's a hermiting energy that happens when I see something like 2, 3, or 10 of Cups, even Page of any of the Cups reversed, but especially if there's people and it indicates like, I love you, I want you, or be a part of this. So it feels like some of you just might feel like the outsider. They don't love me, they don't understand me. Some of that could have to do with internal dialogue. Some of it might be real. Maybe you're just outspoken and your friends and family don't like that. Be that as it may, that might be their loss. That might be something you can work on. But for some of you, I see there's an opportunity to connect with new people or to reconnect. And remember what we were talking about with the lessons. If you feel like you want to reconnect, do it. If you don't, I see a different tribe that's waiting for you. Spiritual tribe, basically. So this is an opportunity for love. And so is this, if that's what you want. I don't know why the cards are flying around today, but 2 of Wands, this is a very energetically sort of charged deck that I'm using. So it's what you want, basically. Your final card is really headstrong. We have the Queen of Wands, but she's upright. I like the upright Queen of Wands because she is able to observe. She is able to share her ideas. She's able to lead very well. I've been talking about her a lot this month. She's magical. We see a dragon in this particular deck, but basically she can make things happen. This is the manager or the project manager that I'd want on my team, because if things were not working out, she would be able to like pull at a resource or inspire someone or go through her Rolodex and find the right person and make it happen. It's you, by the way, too. So you have the ability this month to solve a difficult problem easier than you think you can, or using the energy of the 4 of Cups. Oh my goodness, all of a sudden you make a connection, you figure it out, okay? So I like that quite a bit. We'll look at love in a second, but we have I like that we have evenly matched cards with the 2 queens. So you might have met your match this month. We'll talk more about that in a second in relationships. Let's start with the health card first. Health is mind, body, and spirit. A lot of times there's a spiritual component that kind of takes precedence. So we have the throat chakra, as I just took a drink of water. And this has been coming up for a couple of signs. I think you might be the second or third where I've been focusing on communication, or specifically the second one where I just called out the throat chakra. So for some of you, you could be having issues with like laryngitis. There could be thyroid issues here, sore throat. anything really in this area, but it's not just the throat. Like I said, it could be thyroid. It could also even be upper spine, back of the neck. You want to really focus on healing this part of your body. And if there's anything that's going wrong in that area, even like acid reflux and things like that, it's a time to put some healing energy into this space. The throat chakra can close up or close down oftentimes when we are not feeling like we can speak our truth, when we are frustrated, when we're angry, when we're holding it in. So one of the things that you can do during this period is to try to find a way to let it out. So singing, laughing, screaming, anything, like getting the voice working is going to be important. Talking to someone as well. But if you're not feeling heard, or if you're feeling like people are putting words in your mouth, then a lot of times that can create the energetic blockage here. So do some things to open up, and breathing in and of itself is the most powerful thing that you can do. Really opening up the throat, really pushing out that energy, that's going to be key. Let's look at some other things here. First of all, speak up if there's a problem. Ask some questions at the doctor's office if you don't know what's going on. This is about clear communication. I'm going to look at the cards here for some other things. We have the Two of Swords. Two of Swords can also show vision problems that are popping up. So last year I got to the point where I was squinting at some of the cards, and I thought, I'm over this. I'm going to get a good pair of glasses that'll help me see the computer and the cards better. For the past 10 years, I've had just an occasional pair of glasses that I need to wear, but lately it's like, no, I need to just keep them on while I'm doing the reading. So it could be something like that. You just realize I'm squinting, I have a headache, something's wrong. Go to the optometrist if you can for that. For some of you, it's just a chance to work your legs a little bit more through some gentle walking. And I think that, trust me, I eat plenty of carrots. So what I was going to say with this is, for this, some of you might just need to move your legs a little bit more and do some nice exercise, just gently moving. Like swimming is a good way to do that as well. If you've been sitting too much, or if you have tightness in the hips, something that is not pushing your joints too much, gentle, like not too much resistance, that would be really great. So the water is good. It gives you resistance without pressuring the joints. So if you can swim, great. If not, gentle walking. Talk, of course, to a doctor before you change diet, before you do anything in your life like that. Let's see if there's anything else. Just basically moderation. So 10, 3, or 2 of cups, reverse, 9 of cups, any of these, upright or reverse, can just show a chance to sort of moderate what you're doing. Okay. So mostly pretty good, actually, based on what I'm looking at here. It feels like some of you also might just have a health decision to make with the Two of Swords, the Chariot, and the Two of Wands. You'll make the right choice based on what you need, and that's the important thing. Don't be pressured into something that doesn't feel right if the timing's off. All right, let's look at the next piece here. That was health. Let's look at wealth. Wealth is the chess queen. It says trust and strategizing. The card was reversed, and I look at that very much like could be the Queen of Swords, right? But so think about, sometimes we get on these paths where we just jump from a situation to the next because we were never taught to do differently, I guess. So if you've been working one job after another, if you've been going to one relationship after another, or you just sort of feel like you're going through the motions in your life, the chess queen is reminding you that you're not the pawn, you are the queen or the king, and it's your chance now. I don't play chess, but I think that those are powerful cards. It's your chance to sort of make that decision and strategize a few moves out, because again, without being a chess player, I know one of the important things is you have to be thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead, and you have to also be anticipating your partner's moves so that you can make the best possible move. It's the trade-offs. And I think that'll help you out too. This is why it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. In order to make the decision, you need to know where you're headed. If you know where you're going, then you can assess these sort of trade-offs between the 2 paths in front of you. And then you'll just choose the one that feels right. At the end of the day, if it feels right, that's the one I would go with. And that's what I'm seeing here. But there should be a strategy or an order or some sort of a logic to where you're at right now. So if the relationship just feels like it's kind of ambling, it's time to have a talk. If the job feels like it's ambling, time to have a talk. If you're retired and you feel like, what am I doing? It's never too late to strategize and figure out something else. Always figure out what now and what next. That's the identity card that I was seeing in my meditation. Let's go to everyone's favorite, love. We have the only thing that is real is love. Shift your focus from the problem back to love. So for some of you, this is difficult because when there's someone in our life that triggers us and we feel the antithesis, when we feel hate or hatred or anger or frustration, or what else is there? Any of those where you just sort of like, resentment is the other thing that I was trying to remember. Any of those things pop through. This is saying, if you can take it back to why you originally loved or loved that person, it'll help, because you might be able to find a way back to the rainbow, which we see here, right? And there is sort of this karmic cycle that we see in this card, this cosmic cycle, this karmic cycle, and also it's kind of like death and rebirth here, old and young. So for some of you, you're having a chance to like release a cycle with someone in your life, but in order to release it, it has to get back to that place of, I see my part in it, I see their part in it, I'm done with it, or we're ready to start something different. And the cycle of repetition that's going on in a key relationship in your life. That's the catalyst, okay? And let's take a look at, thank you for the information about the queen in chess. I'm glad that she has a lot of options. So that tells you have a lot of options too. All right, let's take a look now at also some messages about love and relationships just based on the cards. Control themes are central because we have a chariot, which is basically control, right? And we have a very controlling card here with the emperor. And this is something that's coming from the past, so it feels like control themes have popped up time and again. Again, I see pressure on top of the decision for relationship, or who you're with or who you're not with, or why you're not with somebody. All of these things. Family, it's really none of their business at the end of the day on some levels, unless it's your direct child or partner. Extended family or even parents, at some point it's your life. They can feel free to tune out, right, on those sort of things. So what do you want? That's really what this is getting back to. What do you want? What are you looking for? Are you happy? Does this give you the passion, the fire that you're looking for? I see two evenly met energies here. So this is kind of representing you, but both because it's the Queen of Swords and also because it's in the ego. And this ostensibly could be the future partner for some of you, or the challenge in partnerships if you're in an existing partnership. We'll talk about single and happy in a second. But for those that are in love, let's talk about this. The Queen of Swords reverse would be, again, needing to listen more to the partner, because it looks like the partner uses nonverbal or demonstrative language more than speaking, right? So they may say it through how they show up, and that also they could be looking at you saying, you're just talking, why aren't you listening to me? Are you cued in? So it feels like there's a communication breakdown. I do like the sort of I see some compatibility here between the two of these cards, because this one can just really make it happen without having to talk it through, but may not be great at communicating all of the thoughts and ideas. This one can talk until the cows come home. And so there's a nice compatible energy here with one that can just get it done and the other one that can bring everyone together. So I like what I see here, but it feels like communication's breaking down. So in existing relationships, who's talking, who's listening, and are you paying attention to what the person is doing? Are they walking the walk, or are they just talking? And if you were looking for love, one thing that I see is that there's a serious energy that wants to set in here. This is someone who wants to settle down, for sure, with the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles. It could either be you or the other partner, but there may be a disconnect between how, when, and if that's going to happen. So both of you may not be on the same page. One may be looking to get serious really fast. The other one may just be looking to get to know you. So you have to figure out timing, I think, would be key. If you are single, happy, and not looking for somebody, then what I'm looking at here is a couple of options on the horizon here with 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles. If you're looking for a job, there could be one that pays better, but there could be one that feels a lot better than the one that pays better. So you've got to look at, how would I fit into that environment? And the other thing that I'm seeing here too is stepping into maybe just not having to explain yourself so much, because when I see a movement or a not transgression, but basically a transformation from the Queen of Swords to the Queen of Wands, I'm seeing someone who just knows themselves, doesn't need to defend, explain, or kind of like get into some sort of a verbal trap. You're just going to walk the walk, as I said earlier. So that's what I'm seeing here. Okay. You do have the ability to manifest that which you seek. Be patient, it takes time. All the 10s here could show that like October is a really good time for this to start to come into fruition. All right, let's move to your destiny card, which is really like trajectory in the way that I read it in this spread. We have discover your superpower, access 100% of your mojo. Whoever wrote these cards, it makes me laugh because it's a very modern take on Oracle decks. But yeah, we all have the ability to tap into something higher and brighter. I mentioned probably to the point that it annoys people that, we're created from stars. So we have that ability to shine. So do something amazing. We're also ageless, timeless, deathless on a soul level. This body, not so much. We get aches and pains, we get gray hairs, we get wrinkles, all that stuff. But our soul, it's evergreen, right? It gets wiser and wiser, but it's never going to die. So it's interesting that we have this fascination with like superheroes and vampires and all this stuff. Truth of the matter is we're already eternal. We're already there. So the weird thing though is that our body's an avatar. So we inhabit this avatar for a time, and it's kind of like a game. We're trying to level up and trying to figure out how to get the most out of the experience and maintain the best resources and all of that stuff. So you can do it once you start to realize that you are eternal, cosmic, and you're not stuck. There are limits in this body, but you can do some really cool things too. And when you look around at people that are in the environment and they don't see their power, that's where you can start to rise up and do some cool stuff. So you're only stuck if you think it. It's only a bad day if you want it to be. You're only powerless if you want to be powerless. So choose the inverse of all of those things. Choose to be powerful. Make it a great day and own the power and capacity that you have to do some really cool stuff. Let's review, and then we'll go a little deeper into the soul space. This month, I want to look at like the control issues that are popping up or the indecision, and then we'll see when and where the wild cards will come through. All right. Let's take a look again at the channeled messages. If you just joined, perfect timing. If you have been with me, stick around because I oftentimes will get additional messages as I look at this. So I didn't write the note card, but basically the whale was reminding you that you have to make a splash this month. And you may only have a small window to do so. So remember that you command attention. Use that timing, that stage, that charisma to make a difference, and use your voice. And that's something that we saw here in the health one. Speak up. It will make you healthier, happier, and probably more successful in the long run. The next piece is breathing, also part of the throat chakra. Remember to come up for air and get perspective. Share your perspective with others. That's also great. That's communicating and opening up and not feeling so alone. You have an adaptability. I talked about how whales actually came from land and then went into the water, where a lot of times it was the reverse or whatever. So this time we're seeing something that has the ability to kind of like be a little bit between water and air, at least those two elements. And that makes sense for you because air is Aquarius. And ironically or interestingly enough, a lot of times you're shown as a water bear, even though you're an air sign. So emotional energy is weighing in, and communication energy is weighing in, and you have the ability to kind of go between those two quite nicely. Lead with strength and empathy. You're a gentle giant this month if you'd like to be. We're thinking more of the whales that just eat plankton and whatnot. So what I'm seeing here is that just like this Queen of Wands, she's the gentle giant, she's the whale. She's able to show how to do it. She doesn't have to always say everything. She holds sort of this energy or air when she enters the room, and people respect her. So you have that ability to conjure that up if you'd like to. A lot of queen energy coming through. We have 2 queens in the card and 1 queen here. So a lot of divine feminine energy. You may be sought after a little bit more than you're used to. And so your boundaries they're going to be really, really important. And that's why we've got a very direct Queen of Swords coming through here. Look at your diet, make sure there's enough vegetables, make sure there's enough balance. Speak with a doctor or dietitian, obviously, before you make any changes. If you're on the spot, smile and knock that person's socks off, metaphorically speaking. Don't be intimidated. You have what it takes. You are the emperor, and you've got all the sort of, you didn't get any pages. It's all regal, basically. So you are in control if you want to be. There may be a really important interaction, and it's maybe not 5 minutes, but let's say it's first impression. I did get 5 minutes. So for some of you, though, I would say it's the first 5 that matter. So when it comes to an interview, yeah, anything where you're going to be judged, just really get it out there as quickly as possible and hold your stage, command the stage, basically. And I would say it's first impressions matter. So pay attention to grooming, clothing, verbal and nonverbal communication. Sometimes it really does matter, and this is a case where it does. State your case, be succinct, be prepared. Yes, definitely, amen to all of those. Remember that anyone in your life is just as lucky to have you as you are to have them. That sets that equal stage that we've been talking about. And if they can't see you, then they may never be able to see you, and you really are going to just have to probably find that on your own and use that to basically prove them wrong. And that's their fault, not yours. And like I said earlier, sometimes it puts you onto a much better path. You meet a better person, you go to a better place, etc. Nostalgia is awesome, but nostalgia only takes you so far. There's really no need to go back and learn an old karmic lesson. If you want to go to school, that's awesome. But if you're just going back and revisiting old relationships or old cycles, that doesn't make sense. Make the learning count. Don't kind of waste a learning opportunity this month. Forward, not backward, basically is what we're saying here. You should feel inspired, challenged, and fulfilled by whatever you're doing. And if you're not, then it's just spinning wheels. It's the chariot not going anywhere. Independence is key. You're always an independent sign, but you have maybe more of an independent flair this month. And the Emperor card is coming in to remind you that you can do this. You always have been able to do it. Know who you are and remember that don't look for an identity, create one. Don't look to others to kind of define who you are. Be who you are, decide what you are in that meeting that we're talking about, or even just as people are trying to figure out and suss out who are you. When you know, you start to open up those opportunities. Knowing is empowerment. Knowing creates those windows or those doors. Every moment's a chance for movement, for recreation. So know that you can change the chapter, the mask, or anything at any point and reveal who you truly are. Trying to focus on, just like we see with this card, where am I going and how can I get to that rainbow? How can I pull that in, that dream state? I really think it's the Wizard of Oz here. If you feel like you're stuck in the black and white, you've got to pull the color energy into your life and bring the dream into the reality. Breathe life into that dream. There's a choice at hand, and we have 3 cards here that tell the story. Indecision, also kind of an understanding of an urgency to make that decision and eventually owning it and finding what feels right. And that's the story of the 2 of Swords, the Chariot, and the 2 of Wands. Over top of this are external influences that are affecting you. 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups. Friends, family, community, society. That's only part of the equation. You have to really feel it for yourself. Success and love are central themes here for you. So that's coming through. Love yourself, but know that success is more than just money, more than just a title, more than that card that's saying who you are. You might want to take your own path and do something yourself. Here, the Emperor is very, very self-reliant, and that's definitely coming through for you. Some of you might decide to create a curriculum. You might decide to teach, because this plus this is teacher, mentor, leader, healer. But somehow you're bringing that message out. And this would be something consumable by the masses, a curriculum. That's why it's good to watch at the midpoint. I see some new things that I wouldn't otherwise. The 2 of Wands just says it requires vision. And I like this little happy cat looking up at this person. If you can see it, others can see it, right? Okay, and then as we look at yourself this month, really focus on being constructive, supportive, and loving. Don't miss an opportunity or a window or a different way of seeing things. And just because something didn't work in the past doesn't mean that now it won't. I talked about my own sort of spiritual journey. It came to me later just because the initial environment that I was put in didn't really connect the way I connected. So working, loving, or educational environment, there could be some sort of a mismatch. And you might be seeking out the tribe or the family or the friends that truly love you and know you, or want to, I should say. And that's in the possibility. When you're ready for that, that's there waiting. But there's some other stuff that has to happen first. If you're looking for love, we have the 2 queens, we have the different communication styles, and I think that's the key thing to look at. Whether you're in love or looking for love, communication could come as a barrier for you. Written communication especially can be tricky. There is a key, though, to writing something down if you have to talk to someone and then looking them in the eye, not going directly on script. When I write all of these cards, I don't read it word for word. I'm sure you've noticed that. I just look at the cards to get a sort of mental cue on what I want to talk about. And that's also what I do when I take notes from my dreams. I just need to write enough to know what I'm talking about. And that's basically it. With the Queen of Wands, finally, you can put your mind, anything you put your mind to, whether it's school, mentorship, teaching, learning, production. There is something here about production and distribution as well for some of you. I'm happy with what I see here. I feel like you've got it, and I really feel good about your resources between the 8 and the 10 of Pentacles. You just may not see an opportunity. Look a little harder, and there may be a better way to use time, energy, money, etc. Speak your mind, pay attention to your throat in general, and we're talking about not just sort of like the esophagus and the voice box and the and also, what did I mention? Thyroid, but it can also be just speaking the truth. Are you allowed to say what you need to say? Strategy, if I have to really break it down to one thing when it comes to wealth and opportunity and figuring out like what's next and what people around you are anticipating. For those of you in business, this is really strategy. Looking at love, bringing it back to love, remembering again that sometimes communication may break down, but it doesn't mean that the person doesn't care about you. What I see here is that someone just may not be listening. They hear you, but they're not listening. So there has to be sort of active listening to improve the relationship. You are more powerful than you believe or think, and find that superpower. You know what? If you want to be truly successful, you have to feel it. You have to believe it. And it doesn't matter how weird it is. Maybe that's better. This is not what I thought I'd be doing when I was a kid. And I'm so happy that I'm on a different path. Like I said, I had a really traditional one, and then I just keep trying different things. Who knows what tomorrow will bring for any of us, right? So let's open it up. Who knows where you'll be next? Make that be exciting. Every day is a journey. Let's expand the forecast and look at the soul path now. I want to understand the Two of Swords, the Chariot, and the Two of Wands. What is it that could be causing this sense of hesitation with you? So let's see what's going on. Okay, this is interesting. So we have Six of Cups. I love Six of Cups, actually. There's a playful energy to this. So one thing that I would say is having fun is really important. It's something that as adults we forget to do. We see that little kitty cat here reminding her, like, let's go play, let's do something. And also there's this sort of gentle kindness to this card as well. So we lose that fun, that playful energy, and I would love for you to kind of rekindle some of that now. If all you're doing is working, if all you're doing is surrounding yourself with people that are not supportive, this is kind of what you're looking for. In the area of love, the Six of Cups is a very high bar to meet. This is basically looking for that deep, deep soul connection, right? And I think that the pickier that you are, the longer the wait is sometimes. Not always, because you can try to manifest, I'm ready and they're ready and let's make this happen. But a lot of times it takes longer if you know what you want. If you don't know what you want, you can just step out the door and talk to someone and have a date sometimes, and it's not a big deal. But there's not going to be anything that comes from that. That's just sort of like, it's basically very much Fool type energy. It's passive. It's not passive. I would just say it's like ephemeral. That's the word I was looking for. It's good for while it lasts, but it's not very long lasting, right? It's like gum. Sometimes you chew it, tastes good for a minute or two, then you're just chewing this rubbery thing. So we want something that it's like the Willy Wonka gobstopper thing that will last and last and last, right? So that takes a little bit of time and work to achieve. So if you're looking for that in love, in work, in life, don't give up. And that's what the Eight of Pentacles is saying. Takes a little bit of work, takes a little bit of time. Keep doing the work on yourself. Allow your partner to do the work on them, on themselves as well, and trust and know that this will eventually be exactly where it needs to be. So I like this, and I think it's just a reminder that you have that capacity to go there, and I see it happening in the horizon. Have fun. Keep the vision of what it is that you're looking for in a person, in a place, in a thing, and then know that you'll be able to celebrate and enjoy that when that happens, okay? So don't lose track of why you're waiting, for instance, here. All right, let's look at the next piece here, which is, I want to look at the difference between the Ten of Pentacles and Ten of Cups. What's going on here? Is it pressure? Is it opportunity? Why are we seeing all of that? Okay, you are looking for the equal is what I'm seeing for some of you. We have the, sorry, turned it upside down. The king and the queen card, okay? Basically the emperor and the empress. You have so much queen energy this month, it's crazy. So on one thing that I wanna say for you, you may be feeling pressured to get into a marriage, to have children, to do something. But there's a lot of different ways that we can express creative energy and passion. So some of you, that's not your path, and that's okay. Some of you might be married and you still don't want to have kids. That's okay. If you're looking to have a family, this card is saying you're on the right track. But don't feel pressure. I saw all the pressure cards here. This energy can be used for creation. So what I would say for you is, what's the legacy that you want to leave behind when you leave this planet? However many years we have, that's up to the powers that may be. But when you leave, what's the thumbprint? What's the impression? What's it all about? Have you thought about that? Maybe it is having children. Maybe it's creating a family. Maybe it's a spiritual family. Maybe it is an artistic endeavor that's going to last through the generations. What is it where it's basically kind of like carving into the tree, I was here, right? So what are you trying to do to be remembered? What's your legacy? What's the impression that you're going to make? That's what the Empress is saying. It's your kingdom. Rule it as you see fit. It's not up to your mom. It's not up to your dad. It's not up to your friends. If they're pressuring you, why? When people start, nobody does that with me because I pretty much would just cut it down. But I would say, why are you so focused on me? What's going on? I'm okay. Why are you so worried about me? Everything's good. Are you okay? Is everything good with you? I would just turn it back to them. I would say, it seems like you're very concerned about me. It actually makes me concerned about you. How's everything with you? Is your marriage okay? Just flip it around and people will stop very quickly because usually it's a projection moment. And so I would say, put that movie projector right back at the person that's pressuring you, okay? Okay, let's look at the next thing, which is basically just a wild card. Let's see what else you need to focus on for the month of March or in this moment. Okay, this is interesting. And this has to do with the family. So we have Five of Pentacles. Invariably, Five of Pentacles usually can be traced back to a moment when you were younger. Typically, it's an experience between parents and you, or you and your siblings. There's a moment where you sometimes just feel like left out or deserted. It can also be a teacher, but it's typically a young imprint. So maybe you were bullied. Maybe there was a moment where you were embarrassed. Maybe your parents just weren't there as much as you needed. There's something in the past that could have made you feel a little less than. And this card is saying, no, it's actually the other person that was less than. They didn't show up the way that they needed to, and it's okay. And this card reminds both of you not to feel like you are left out in the cold anymore. In most of these Five of Pentacle illustrations, it depends on the deck, but you'll always see shelter, usually in the form of a church, a temple, a mosque, something like that, where it's a safe haven, a sanctuary. So for you now, the reminder is there's always help. There's always a new way. There's always something better. And this is a chance to diverge if you need to from this person that may not have been looking out for you or protecting you, and go into the light, look at something more, increase your self-worth, because there's so much more. This symbolizes like the divine recognizing that there is a home. There's always a home in your spiritual family. So you have a lot to bring to the table. If there's someone in your life that is either resistant to or incapable of receiving, they could put themselves in that energy, the persistent energy of the Five of Pentacles, which is good things never happen. Bad luck follows me everywhere. Yeah, you're calling it in. So what you have to do is shift the energy and shift the perspective and start to sort of think about positivity. If someone in your environment is doing that, try to separate from them, because then that starts to wear off on you and you want to stay as positive as possible. But for you, my reminder is you are okay. And this past thing was just the past. Don't let it hamper the future, okay? One other note, we are in icy weather right now, and this card is a warning sign for slipping and falling on the ice or the snow or sleet and rain, all of the above. So wear proper attire, wear some good boots, focus on your legs and joints in particular, basically everything basically below the belt. So your joints in particular, I would say it's knees and ankles and feet. So there could be a chance to slip. You might be having persistent pain coming through. Whatever's going on there, take care of it, and don't sort of like multitask while you're walking. You want to be very clear on what's going on the ground around you, even in good weather, because last year I sprained my ankle just because of uneven pavement. So you can just be walking. I was walking the dog. I didn't see it. This is just saying take a little extra care over the month of March. Look in where you're going. Keep your phone in your pocket. Keep your eyes on your surroundings, and that'll be really important. Okay? So let's go into the next part of this. Before I do that, 2 quick notes. I forgot to mention it earlier. I'm going to be doing a collective reading on February 28th. That's this upcoming Sunday, so really close. I already have a link on my website. I'll pull it out at the end. I don't want to kind of tab out of here while I'm doing this live reading right now, but you can see the link on my website. After Pisces, I'll also publish it on the YouTube channel, but it'll be the same time, 9 a.m. I believe it's a Sunday, and last day of the month. And every month I'm starting to do collectives. I'll theme it a little bit closer to the collective. There's always a general, everybody's welcome. And I usually will do something that is impertinent to the month ahead. So we'll see what I'm driven to do by my meditations and whatnot. I'd love for you to join me if you can. Also, if you want to stay in touch and know when new videos are being released, by all means, hit the subscribe button. It's not really well named. It should just be called follow, but it does give you updates. And if you click the little bell icon, it will also send you some sort of a notification to your phone or email. So that's a great way to do it, just to know when new things are coming through. And also I'm on social media. And if you have a hard time kind of connecting with Google notifications, I'd love for you to follow me on social media. I'm pretty much Nicholas Ashbaugh on everything. And I use story reminders on these main platforms to remind you when new reading is coming through. And on Twitter, I also will send out a tweet on the day of or the day before. Slightly different username there because they have a character limit, so it's Ashbaugh. But everywhere else, it's Nicholas Ashbaugh. I know Maria and Dakota are putting out all the links. Plus, I pinned the link that Dakota posted earlier for my website. It's all there. I just redesigned it, so it should be easy to find all of this stuff. Okay, last thing, thank you to everyone that's been doing super chats. If you want to give back, there's also ways to do that on my channel under Patreon and PayPal. All right, I am going to move into the singing bowl. I saw a question about that. So yes, this is a singing bowl, and it's an A sharp. If people are really that curious about what note I'm playing, it's A sharp. It's for the pineal gland, so it's to open up your intuition. So in particular, I was looking here, I have it on the side. It's a little dusty, but it's A sharp. So each singing bowl has a different note that you can play that will kind of go to a different frequency. Maybe one of these days I will add to the collection here and we can do different focuses based on that. But anyway, that's why the color of this is very based on like higher self, right? Okay. So this will last about 2 to 3 minutes. Stick around. I'll do one more card at the end and we'll talk about the week ahead. That's a little bonus for those of you that stick through the meditation. And anytime you watch this, that extra card will be relevant. Okay. So looking at everything in front of us, well, let's work with the whale. Why not? I want to kind of move into the energy of power, of you kind of stepping into that gentle giant energy. A lot of what I talked about when I was putting all of the index cards together. That was fun. And we actually used the spirit totem yesterday. So I'd like to do the whale. All right. Close your eyes and see yourself. If you have a fear of water, then just kind of listen to me. Don't be afraid because it's just a meditative state. Just see the animal itself, right? Just see the whale. Don't look at where it's at. Okay. But close your eyes and see blue energy around you, because when I think of the whale, I think of the blue ocean. And one of the things that you needed to focus on was the throat chakra. Excuse me, the throat chakra is my own throat kind of went for a second. And one of the great things with the whale is it opens its mouth really wide and it lets things in. So let's really focus on opening up the chakra and look. If you're afraid of the water, look at the sky above you. Imagine that you're just coming up for air and you're looking at the sky. So whether you're looking at the blue sky or the blue ocean, I want you to just see blue everywhere. It's permeating your body and your spirit. And as this gigantic animal that's In the water, the cool thing is it's like being weightless. So it doesn't matter that it's a really big animal. It doesn't have the same gravity in the water. So I want you to feel light, and I want you to feel also kind of vibrantly plugged into the blue energy. Really feel it around your throat. And first and foremost, because what a whale would do when it comes up for air is to really take a deep breath. In this moment, I want you to breathe deeply. Through the mouth, exhale. You can really push it out if you would like to a couple of times. Get rid of what you're holding on to. Imagine that as you're pushing that energy out, it's clearing the lungs, clearing the throat, clearing the cobwebs, the barnacles, all that stuff that's been holding on to your mind, your body, and your spirit. You're going to breathe out the drama from work. You're going to breathe out the energy that you've been listening to and ingesting in the environment around you. You're going to be resetting energetically and emotionally. Take another deep breath now, returning to a sort of normal cadence of breathing. And just allow yourself now to float a little bit. And you could imagine, again, if you want to, just a shallow pool and you're laying in that if you'd like to. But see yourself floating, and it's easy, and you're just being held up by the water. And you can kind of hang out here for a second if you would like to. In this moment, I want you to see that you have an impressive energetic footprint, as we see with the whale here. You have something that people would look up to, something that people would travel miles to see. That's what they do with whale watching, right? Just for a chance to see them flip up and see their tail or whatever. So I want you to realize that people are interested in what you have to bring to the equation. Look at yourself as valuable. Look at yourself as equal. Look at yourself as worthy. The Five of Pentacles was reminding you that you have worthiness, even if the self-worth is not what it could or should be. And start to decide, what do I want? Who am I? Because you have this enormity, this large, powerful energy of this spirit totem, I want you to imagine that you could start to move through the water, and it's kind of like a speedboat or something that can really push through things. See the water as being the barriers. You're going to start to make traction and movement and go in the right trajectory. Use the energy of this fish to bring you to the horizon. And then as you get to the horizon, we'll transform from the whale back to you. So move towards that path or that place that you want to be. Allow this animal to bring you to back to shore. And I want you to feel this sense of power as you're traveling through the energy of the whale. And then we'll do a little transformation at the end, and I'll pull an extra card. Okay, close your eyes. Feel movement, almost as if you're like a comet flying through space. You feel suddenly like you're starting to take flight and make a difference. Take a moment to gently disengage the jaw, to gently open up the throat, to start to allow your voice to be heard, to allow to basically for yourself to be received as well, and to receive. One of the things that the whale wants to teach us is the ability just to open up and let the universe kind of come through. So specifically the ones that eat plankton and whatnot. So open up your throat and imagine now that love, light, energy is moving through that part of your body, that you're starting to feel an awakening and an awareness there, and that you're bringing sustenance into your life symbolically. If there was anything that was stuck now, it is unstuck. The blue energy has moved through it, has opened it, has healed it. And as you approach the shore, you start to feel like you are getting back into your regular form. So you're going to go through a transformation like a shapeshifter. So see yourself gently shifting into a smaller and smaller shape, into a human form, but carrying the auric field and the presence and maybe even the reach of the whale. So you're becoming human, but your energy is reaching as far as the whale did. So you're going to be much more powerful than you were just before that meditation. And as you gently start to walk onto the beach, you look back reverently and you see the whales in the distance. You see their fins, their tails. You can see their sort of blowing up and coming up for air. And you remember how it was like to be out there, to be playful, to be strong, to be powerful. And remember that you have all of that now within you, the Six of Cups, playful energy, the power of the Empress, and the self-worth and the ability to receive that is missing in the Five of Pentacles, but you received through the meditation here. So think to yourself, I'm strong, I'm worth it, and I'm ready to receive. Take one last deep breath. Exhale. Feel yourself fully back into your body now. And let's pull one more card for the week ahead, and then we'll wrap everything up. All right, so one more card for whenever you're watching this, the week ahead. We have the Seven of Swords. Trust is so important. Trust yourself and trust that you know what's right and wrong. If there's someone in your life that is not showing up as being accountable, as being trustworthy, and you have that sort of red flag that goes off, you want to listen to that. This is basically honoring your intuition and expecting people in your life to really kind of just show up and say what they're going to do. Do what they say they're going to do, I should say. So this is a reminder of that. And also in karmic justice, I strongly believe in this. People rarely get away with something. You don't. If you, for some reason, don't find the karmic retribution in this life, it will happen in the next life. There's always a cost for something. There's always balance. There's always an exchange. So your job this month, we didn't get justice. We didn't get judgment. It's not to worry about that on some levels. You don't allow that in your life. But if someone's doing something and you're trying to worry about controlling it, just if it's them in their life, let them do what they need to do. Focus on you. There's so much positive that came through. To me, the Seven of Swords is like that little person in the background that's just trying to figure out. You're going to get so strong aurically that that person's going to sneak around you and go to someone else. They'll look at you and say, not Aquarius, not this month. So be strong and forget about this person, whoever they are. They're not worth your time and energy, okay? Especially if it's a gossiper or if it's someone that's negative or not listening, whatever. They're going to not bother with you. And that's what I would hold in my energy is I'm stronger than that. And by working on this, you will be. Because the Five of Pentacles attracts the Seven of Swords. But when you become like the Ten of Pentacles, which by the way is what you truly are, Seven of Swords is not going to be anywhere in the neighborhood of you, because that basically, this is showing someone strong, connected, who knows who they are, who isn't going to put up with that. So that's basically the message there. All right, let's wrap up everything for today. Again, all of the information that I'm going to give is on my website, and that's actually pinned in the upper corner here of chat. I'm just going to flash these cards really quickly. If you want to follow me on social media, I'd love for you to do so. I actually on Instagram, at least probably once a month, I might do something this week or next. I will do a fireside chat. It's a great way to just kind of connect with me and talk. I don't do them as frequently on YouTube, but I will kind of do it on both. So just follow me so you know when that's coming. A really great way to just support the channel is to hit subscribe, like, to comment. And if you want to, you can opt into notifications. Engagement helps with discovery, and that's why a lot of us creators will ask for that. Thank you to everyone who was kind enough to show support. It makes a difference. It's noticed. I read every comment, and I put a little thank you when I'm done for the folks that have given a little extra. Thanks to all my supporters on Patreon and all the people here who have already clicked the join button. I see you and I recognize all of the friendly faces. There's a new feature, Applaud. It's mostly on desktop and Android at this point, but if you're watching on either of those two devices, you can click that button and it gives me a notification as well. I have a book that has been out since October. If you're interested in science fiction, particularly things like Dune or Lord of the Rings, you might enjoy this. It's a longer read, a little bit cerebral, but it's cool because there's a lot of things about metaphysics and awakening. So check it out if you're interested. It's another way to give back and to get something. So I always wanted to have something where you could also have something for the contribution that you're giving, and that's exactly that. Let me see if I can find the link real quick to the upcoming reading. Like I said, I will be on the 28th of February. I'll be doing a collective reading, and yeah, I have a sort of placeholder link here from my website. I'll put that out right now. You can get some more information there, and like Dakota also put a link to all the upcoming. Oh, thank you. You got it. Okay. So there'll be an upcoming link. Thanks. One step ahead of me. That'll be coming up next month. So thank you everybody for your help. Thanks to both Dakota and Maria for your assistance today as well. And I will be doing one more reading. We're on Monday, so this will be Thursday of this week. I'll be doing Pisces. And then, of course, that collective one that we just put links up for. In the meantime, if you haven't watched your other like Sun, Rising, and Moon, check it out. You can look at all of them. Most of them are up with exception to Pisces. And I look forward to the next couple of readings. So thanks, everybody, for showing up, for bringing your energy here today. I appreciate you. All right. Have a wonderful week ahead. Have a wonderful month ahead as well. Much love and light to you. Bye-bye.